Hi, my name's Patty Way. My grandmother came from Island Harbour, and her mom was Mary Susan Andersen, the oldest daughter of Torsten of Makovic. And as a child, my grandmother lived in the house with us, and so I was told many stories of people that impressed my grandmother when she was growing up, and one of those people was certainly Aunt Bertha. Bertha Andersen, or as she was more commonly known, Aunt Bertha, was an amazing lady. And Bertha was the sixth child of Torsten Andersen and his wife in Makovic, and she was born in 1872. The missionary Heinrich Ritter wrote that she was especially industrious as a 10-year-old, and she makes biblical stories her own and tells them to others. So it was very clear that Aunt Bertha was special right from the start. From there, she grew up and was very musical. In a letter that her dad wrote back home to Norway, he told the family that she played the organ in church and that she also could do the piano and the violin. So she certainly had gifts in that area as well. When she was about 20, she went to work in the Moravian mission buildings for the missionaries in Hopedale, and that worked for a while, but she had to come home and look after her parents in their older age and illness. Her mother in particular was blind the last 5 years of her life, and a fairly large woman, so Aunt Bertha, I think, was required to do quite a bit of home care and help. But she did so many things. It would be difficult to say what exactly Aunt Bertha didn't do. She was the postmistress of Makovic for 30 years. She hunted, she trapped, the same as a man. She delivered babies, I think more than 80 that people had documented. Aunt Bertha was extremely able and highly independent. She was very literate. She sewed well. She was a perfectionist in her sewing of her boots and mitts and so on. And she taught little children to sew as well. And there is a picture where she's part of the staff at the Makovic boarding school in the earliest of the days, and she probably was using that skill at the boarding school there. She loved dogs. She treated them like members of the family, and she often drove her brother's dog team herself to go to a delivery or to go and help someone who was sick. And she didn't mind the boat. She could handle any amount of roughness. If someone called for her services, if a man was willing to take her, then she was willing to go. She could face any sorts of rough weather and so on. In her later years, one of her great nieces had a child that she sort of adopted and raised, and sadly, 3 years before the end of her own life, her adopted child died, and so Aunt Bertha was very, very sad. I always found that she wrote several times, "Teach me in my heart to say, thy will be done." And I guess that was where she was trying so hard to come to grips between her very strong faith, which she had, and her love for Girlie, or Viola as she was called. She did have man friends when she was younger. One in particular my grandmother told me about. He really thought the world of Aunt Bertha, and year after year he would come back from Newfoundland to fish and try to persuade her to marry him, and she just wouldn't leave Makovic at that point in her life, and so she lived to be nearly 80, spending most of those years, well, all of the years, in the house of her childhood, which was where her brother Wilson and his wife Harriet now lived. And she was a part of that household as much as they were, and helped to look after the grandchildren and the children. And so many nephews and nieces were named for her. I think I've been able to find 13 or 14 to date, but her family revered her, and she was held in the highest of respect because of her skills, and because I like to think of her as a modern woman born in the olden times.